Welcome to the Bandwich Tapes. I'm Brad Williams. My guest today is Jeff Bush, director of the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. Jeff first played with the band more than 25 years ago under the great Buddy Morrow, and today he's responsible for carrying that legacy forward, not only musically, but also through all the behind-the-scenes work required to keep a 17-piece orchestra on the road. In this conversation, we talk about what makes the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra sound distinct, where the beat sits in a great swing band, and why the drummer and lead trumpet can function almost like co-quarterbacks of the ensemble. Jeff also talks about Tommy Dorsey's extraordinary phrasing and breath control, why singers like Frank Sinatra studied the way he played, and how Jeff balances honoring the classic repertoire while keeping the band fresh and moving forward. We also get into music education, professionalism, touring, the lessons that only come from playing with experienced musicians, and the orchestra's new recording on Hindsight Records. Here's my conversation with Jeff Bush of the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. Jeff, it is a pleasure to welcome you to the podcast. How are things today?
Everything's great, Brad. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and appreciate the invitation.
Yes, absolutely. You have such a really cool gig as the director of the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. I am so intrigued about that. How did that opportunity come your way? I know you were in the orchestra for a long time before you took over the leadership role.
Yeah, I did. I joined, 26 years ago. I want to say when the great Buddy Morrow was the band leader. I was a much younger fellow then, but I left the orchestra for a long time just to pursue other musical things. But yeah, the opportunity came in just about 2 years ago to start fronting the band, leading the band. We had some new management, and it's just been a dream come true and a lot of fun these past 2 years for sure.
That's amazing. What is your day-to-day responsibilities? Are you leading just on the bandstand? Do you have like administrative responsibilities too? How does all that work?
All of the above in 2026 to keep a band working. Yeah, I have some partners on the management side, but I'm definitely actively involved in that with all the behind scenes type of work, the hiring of musicians. I handle some of the travel detail. I liaise with the venues to when we're going to arrive, when we're going to do sound check, when the food should be available, when will we do a meet and greet, when's the intermission, all that type of stuff. And then musically, yeah, I make those decisions with the programming. In special situations, I'll discuss some things with my partners musically. With our new recording, we discussed a number of the musical situations there. But day to day, I handle the musical decisions. I do some of the new arrangements for the band to keep our program fresh and moving forward. So that's a little or a little snapshot, I would say, of my day to day work on the TDO. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like you have a busy life there with that. That's amazing, though.
It's a lot of fun. It's work. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. You mentioned something earlier that kind of sparked me when I was thinking about this earlier. How much of the responsibility, or I guess the opportunity to to follow the tradition of the group while still moving it forward and kind of giving it a fresh perspective? How do you balance the two of those?
Yeah, that's well, we have a license agreement with the family of Tommy Dorsey, so we need to perform 75% on each show of the material that was associated with Tommy, which makes total sense, and it's a pleasure because there's some you can interpret that somewhat liberally. You can dig some things out of the archives that haven't been played for some time to freshen it up, but we certainly got to play the big hits because the audience still wants to hear Song of India. They want to hear Marie. They want to hear Opus One, I'll Be Seeing You, all those great songs, and it's a pleasure to do that. So, but then I kind of think like, well, what might be a song that Tommy might have included that was popular, after he passed. So that's why we included Mr. Sandman on our record, which was a big hit in 1959 for the Chordettes. And Tommy Dorsey, along with being a great musician, was also a masterful businessman. And so I kind of think about those things like what might he have done should he have survived. So that's kind of how I chose that too.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. I love that, you're honoring the legacy of Tommy while still, kind of pushing the band forward with the material. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I know that I was reading your bio. You've played in some really, played with some big names and played with in a lot of different big ensembles throughout your career. Sitting inside those ensembles, what makes the Glenn Miller Orchestra it versus the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra in terms of like maybe how the ensemble feels the time or how the beat sits and things like that? How does that feel differently?
You must be. Are you a musician, Brad? Because
I am a musician. Yeah,
that's a very musical question. If we're talking about how the beat feels, and that's something different from band to band. If you included the Count Basie Orchestra in there, where does that beat feel, and where does that? Yeah, it's I always think anything coming out of the swing era on that. It's on forward motion, right on that top side of the beat without rushing, and that's where when I teach younger people, or if I have a younger musician, I'll tell them, hey, this is where the time concept of this is. Just think forward motion without rushing. So I guess if you compare it to the Glenn Miller Orchestra, maybe that time is a little bit, I don't know, different, but the whole swing era thing has a feeling. But like Tommy's band in the 50s was much more sounding like the Count Basie Orchestra. He had things out of the Basie book directly in his library. In fact, when the Dorsey band and the Basie band were both in New York at the same time, the Dorsey band was working the Café Rouge and the Basie band was working Birdland. Tommy sent his entire band over to listen to the Basie band, and his manager took roll because Tommy wanted to sound like that band. So Tommy's 50s band definitely has a different feel than his swing era band, I think, and its influence. Yeah.
Does it normally, how much of that responsibility sits with the rhythm section, or is it a kind of a feel of the entire ensemble?
Yeah, it probably, you could break that down to both. That rhythm section, if that's not feeling good, nobody's going to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a rhythm section for one reason, because it's got to feel. But then if those horns are either too far behind or too far on top of that beat, that's not going to gel very well. So it's always important whenever I have, when we're forming a tour, do I have the right lead trumpet? Do I have the right first trombone? Do I have a good first alto? Because those lead players sit in the middle of the band. So they're listening in and then listening over to the drums, number one. Importantly, that first trumpet and drums are kind of like the co-quarterbacks of the band, so to have those players in place who I'm comfortable working with makes my job a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah, you have, and I'm a bass player. I started out playing drums, but played bass mostly these days. And, a drummer can make a band sound good or bad, right? And a good drummer can make a bad band sound good. It's pretty amazing.
And vice versa. Yeah.
And vice versa.
Experienced them all over the years. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. What was it about the trombone? I know you started out, you started out on banjo and piano and moved to trombone. What was it about that instrument that spoke to you and kind of made you think, this is what I think I want to do?
Well, at first, nothing. at all. I was tall in the fifth grade, and we had a trombone. I wanted to play the trumpet, but we had a trombone, and the band director said, "You're tall, you got long arms, you can reach these positions." That's really how I got the thing. And then, when I got into, and I was terrible. I was sad for the first couple of years. I just had no interest in it, but I'd never heard it. And my middle school band director was a fantastic trombonist. And I remember hearing him stand up, and the first time I heard a trombone sound like what it's supposed to sound like. And he also exposed us to great music, both in the concert band literature, but in the stage band, as they called it in those days, American Popular Song and Ellington and Basie and those type of things. So I was really fortunate to cross paths with him and some other great educators. And that's really what got me going in the trombone thing.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. And, you, like I was saying, I mean, you've had these amazing opportunities and studied. You studied. Where did you study music?
I have an undergraduate from Youngstown State in Youngstown, Ohio, and I did a graduate work at Manhattan School of Music in New York.
Oh wow, yeah, that's amazing. And then going out with playing in these amazing ensembles. I mean, I can't. It's like you get an education at the school, but then there's a whole other education that you get on the bandstand, right? And what are some of those things as you're talking to younger musicians or people that are coming along that what are the things that even the soft skills that are required to be a professional musician? What are some of those things that you like to instill in players that they need to learn?
Good term on the soft skills, number one, and those are the ones that are under everyone's control.
Mm-hmm.
Showing up on time, positive attitude, wear the right thing, don't look like you just rolled out of bed. All those type of things are all within our control. And this is a people business. Look good, smell good, be nice type of business. That's what it is. That's a genuine thing from me. But I try and instill that in my students, and also my son is an up and coming musician. He just had his first gigs with us with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra here this past July. So being on the road and being on time and all those type of things. Those are huge things to learn, and yes, you alluded to, training at the conservatory. That's great. That's wonderful. I teach at a college as well, and that's great. But going on the road or working in a band, singing for your supper, as I call it, that's a whole nother education. It's one that I feel very lucky that I've got, because you learn how to be professional by having to do it and every night.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to ask this question of a lot of my guests. I grew up in an era where when I wanted to learn a song or if I wanted to learn a piece of music, I couldn't just open my phone and find every recording under the sun of it. I had to go out and find it. And I'm grateful for that I grew up learning to play when I did. What are your feelings about that? Are you happy that you came along in the era that you did?
Well, you see all those things behind me right there?
I certainly do.
I think we're of a similar ilk, right? It took a little bit more effort and quite honestly, some money to go out. You have to save your money to go out and buy those things, and then you would learn them. And still, it's funny. When I go to my wall, I'll if I feel like listening, I'll pull it out and I can almost look at this one and then just think about it for a minute. Like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Then you put it back. Sure, I could use a refresher on some of those, but I'm glad that I grew up in the CD era. Vinyl was still for sale in stores when CDs came out, but I do love my vinyl. The sound is, there's no comparison. So yeah, I think that little extra effort helped us. Gave us a work ethic, to learn the music and go after the music. And you could say the same. Yes, you can look up the songs. You can also get sheet music or just chord symbols really easily now. And that's cool. And all the technology is cool. But do you really learn the music by doing that? Do you really get it in your ear and in your brain and in your soul? I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I do feel like extra effort and that activity, that active response to doing it was so necessary, at least for me, as my development as a musician.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
completely.
Absolutely. I read that Sinatra talked about Tommy's breath control, and he studied that as a singer. What was it about Tommy that made the greatest singers want to understand and kind of get under the hood about what his phrasing meant and what that would mean as a vocalist.
Yeah, well, Tommy kind of took the trombone from being like this blatty type of loud gut bucket type of instrument to sounding like the most beautiful voice. And he talked about early on swimming underneath the water so he could develop breath control. And I've read that one, but Tommy was a master brass player. He would breathe at just the right spots in the song. So he's thinking about the lyrics clearly. So vocalists are, and they can watch where he breathes. The vocalist would sit behind in the bandstand and you could see Tommy's bellows, for lack of a better term, his lungs expand. You could see when he's taking a big breath, when he's maybe taking a catch breath just to make this phrase. And so he was just a great natural teacher because I think he's thinking the lyrics of the song versus just hammering out these notes.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I think probably too, it being a wind instrument. I mean, as a singer, it would be it's so easy to connect with someone using their breath to produce the tone and understand the phrasing of it. Yeah, that's incredible. So tell me about, what does a typical annual kind of tour look for you guys? Because I was looking on your website, you guys have a lot of shows in the future. How many shows do you typically do in a calendar year?
With this being our second full year of operating the band, I don't have a great number, but I think we're in that 40 to 50, maybe a year. I think, in the band, when it was on a bus traveling across the United States, we would do 300 dates a year in the 80s, even into the 90s. And things have certainly changed in the music business for various reasons over the years, but we're pleased with that. And we try and do our tours when we can. We can concentrate them into one geographical region, because it just, helps keep costs down. It is very expensive to be on the road right now.
Yes.
Gas prices, airline tickets, a bus is extremely expensive, and then, of course, we pay our musicians, so we have that cost, and we're glad to do that as well. But all those other travel costs, they are difficult. So we have to be very smart with how we plan those tours.
Yeah, that's it. I'm taught to a lot of musicians on here, and I'm friends with a lot of musicians that are on the road, and just the tour costs are just getting larger and larger and larger, and I just can't. And that's for like a 4-piece band. And then for you to take an ensemble that's, as large as you guys, I mean, that has to be quite an expensive endeavor to go on the road.
We have 17 on the bandstand, and we don't always travel with 17. Like I'll have some players, we'll have my core players where I need that first trumpet and I need those drums to be there so the music is right. I need that first alto, male singer, and myself. And we can go with our core, and then I can use people who've played in the band, like, they're based in the New York area, and we can cover dates on the East Coast, or New England players, or Florida players, or Midwest players. When we get into some more remote locations, it's really difficult to operate the band, and sometimes we can't. When we go internationally, then we got to take the entire band. We did a 3.5-week cruise off the coast of Africa and Europe in May. So that's a huge expense to fly 17 bodies to Cape Town, South Africa.
Oh, wow.
I can tell you that for sure. So, and coming back out of Lisbon, it's challenging.
Yeah, that absolutely. What are you? So you alluded earlier that you're also teaching in college. I think you're at Duquesne. Is that where you're teaching?
University in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'm the coordinator of jazz studies there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. My son studied percussion at LSU and studied with a wonderful teacher there who's from the Pittsburgh area.
Okay.
And just I love the Pittsburgh music scene. I just hear so many wonderful things about it. What are you? What is your teaching responsibility there, and what classes are you teaching? What ensembles?
Sure. So my responsibilities, I coordinate anything jazz related there that is contained within the performance department. I direct the jazz ensemble, which is the if you have to rank them, the top large ensemble. I also conduct the jazz workshop, which is the next large ensemble, and that's a little bit more of a learning ensemble. I coordinate the jazz small groups. I teach a couple of courses in improvisation, teach jazz arranging, and I coordinate we have a performance series. We have a faculty, our jazz faculty. I'm very proud of them. We have master musicians on each instrument. So we have a 7-piece faculty jazz group. We have a 4-concert series uh, where we present music. So I coordinate that as well. And I really have great colleagues in the jazz area. Really, really proud and
Wow.
associated with them. Yeah.
Man, you have a busy schedule. You have a lot of things happening, man. That's really
I do.
impressive.
I'm very lucky. I mean, this is a hard business, what we do. I have a son coming up who's into this. He's about to leave for college in 2 days. He's going to be a trumpet performance major at IU in Bloomington. Would I pick this business for either one of my children? Probably not, but I can see in him it's something that he has to do as well. So I'll gladly support him.
Uh,
Yeah. So, and I try and show that to the students as well. This is a hard business. It's doable. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not special. I just work real hard and probably a little crazy. So
yeah, I get it. No, I absolutely get it.
yeah.
What is something that young musicians maybe consider an easy concept when playing in an ensemble that turns out to be deceptively difficult?
Boy,
Playing slow, what are some of those things?
maybe, yeah, playing slow is hard. You'll learn to play fast, but like playing a ballad, I always say that's life experience. But just generally, you said it right there, playing in an ensemble. And I got so much of that as a young musician when I was coming up in I was away from this area for a long time, but when we wanted to have kids, we moved back to the Pittsburgh area. So it's originally where I'm from. But while I was going to school, there were gigs everywhere between Cleveland and Youngstown and Pittsburgh. And I just started as a working musician at 16, 17, and I was just making gigs. I had a hard time staying in college because there were just that many gigs. I was working 4 or 5 nights a week. So I learned how to play in ensembles, work with people, work in different styles, be able to adapt really fast. And I can't give that credit to teachers studying out of books, just doing it. And that's something that I think some students have a hard time dealing with. One, because the music business has changed and some of those gigs are not there anymore. But two, I don't know, maybe it is with technology and you have the phone and you have all that, and we depend on that, and we don't see as many people doing gigs, or we see people doing something online and they do it that way. So that's an experience I'm grateful for, and it taught me how to play in an ensemble, which in a lot of ways is a people skill, along with being a musical skill.
Yeah, I completely agree. I I am so thankful that I was able to play in bands and play in ensembles with musicians that were much older than me, had much more experience than me, and just be able to sit there and like absorb everything that they were doing, just the way that they would act on the bandstand. You know,
Yes.
there's so much value in playing with people that have lived that life before you came along.
Oh man. And it'll help you with some humility too. You know what I mean? We all think, yeah, I can do this. I'm the baddest, you know what? But then when you say, okay, it'll keep you grounded, you know?
Yep, that's it. That's it. That's exactly right. That's it. So before we go, Jeff, tell me about what the band has going on now and kind of what the next few months look like for you guys.
Sure. Well, thanks for asking about that. Yeah, we're very proud going on right now. We have a record coming out on the Hindsight Records label. We recorded it earlier this year in Northeast Ohio at a great old studio, big room. We did it somewhat old style with limited edits and chopping it all up. And I'm very proud of how the band played on that record. They did it great in 2 days. So we're proud to have that with Hindsight. It's released this Friday. Drops, as they say in the industry now. That's one. Street date. That's another term I had to learn about. So that hits on Friday the 21st. We're very proud of that, and we'll be touring in support of that. We start on September 24th. We have a run of dates in the Midwest, dates in Iowa and Wisconsin, and we go home for a couple of days and run up to a one-nighter at a cool club I can't wait to play in called the Flying Monkey in New Hampshire. It's great for us to play clubs. And then we got a run in the Pacific Northwest a couple of weeks after that. And we have 2 shows. We do a Battle of the Band show with us and the Glenn Miller Orchestra on the same stage. So we have one of those in Indiana, one in Michigan. Those are in November, and then we have our holiday show, and we have a lot of dates there in December. A bunch in Ohio, Michigan, through New England, and we fly out to San Francisco for a one-nighter to finish out the year. So looking forward to all that. It's going to be fun.
Wow, that is so awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear this new album, and I love the way that you recorded it. I'm sure it, capturing the energy in the room on the recording is so much of it, and I can't wait to hear what it sounds like.
Well, I appreciate that, and we're particularly proud because it was pretty much a working band. We were on the road the weekend before we did that because the guys know I really don't like to rehearse unless we really have to. So we got it, and we had a great engineer, great post production. Just really, it just couldn't have went any better, and I'm really happy and proud of the way that the band came together on that. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I can't wait to hear it, and it's dropping this Friday. And just best of luck to you and the group. I'm so grateful that you're carrying on the legacy of this incredible music and this incredible ensemble, and and also just passing on this knowledge and this history to the next generation of musicians.
Yeah, it's I'm proud to do that for sure, and I take that very seriously. If I can get some young musicians on the band and learn the way that I did, this is a continuum that no one owns, and it must be forward, moving it forward. So I feel that responsibility on my shoulders at this point. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jeff, best of luck. Thanks for the music, and I hopefully we'll see you in the amazing ensemble in person very soon.
And please, if we're ever in the St. Louis area, please hit me up, man. We'd love it if you came out to a show.
That'd be great. Thanks, Jeff.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Brad. Take care.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow or subscribe to the Bandwich Tapes wherever you listen, and consider leaving a rating or review. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.